In this video, I'm going to show you how you can build a fully custom AI customer support agent for your website without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for developers. It's super simple and we're going to do it together step by step. So let's get right started with this. So first of all, we need to figure out the tools that we need to set this up. There are a few that we want to use. For the front end, I'm using NoCode. It allows us to build interactive web components and websites that connect with ChatGPT. Now, when it comes to the AI part, we will need to use ChatGPT. So we need to use their API, which is the maker OpenAI exposes the ChatGPT server to us so we can access it without having their interface. Now, to get those together, because we can't connect ChatGPT directly to our interface, because otherwise we would be exposing something that's called API key, and whoever has that can purchase credits on your credit card, which we want to, prevent from happening for obvious reasons. We want to use something in the middle that is a proxy. For that, we're going to use Xano, which gives you great flexibility in setting that up without writing a single line of code, all using visual development. So let's get right started. So first of all, I have created a new NoCode project. And what I want to do is, first of all, let's make this white. Wonderful. Oh, I need to set it, and then there you go. Perfect. Let's make it white because I like that for my interface. So let's start building the interface for the chat. So I'm going to now go on Files and I'm going to create a new component called Chat. Now I'm going to click on Create, and now this will be our AI chat that we can embed on our website if we want. So now let's start building the interface. So first of all, it should probably inside of here have a div block, which is how we start structuring this. So let's add a div block inside of here, and we'll make it width 100%. There you go. And I'm going to have a maximum width, for example, of 25 rem, if you will, right? There you go. That's optional. You can adjust that. But there you go. And now I will just start giving it some padding. So we start making the design, 1 rem by 1 rem. It's pretty quick. I'm going to give it a background, maybe like a light blue or something, right? That looks nice. Let's give it like blue 50. We're going to give it rounded borders, 1 rem. I don't even know what 1 rem is. It's just what designers tell you to use. So just figure out what rem works for your design taste. And then we're just going to add a border here, and we're going to add blue 200, for example, right? Oh, and let's type in blue 200. There you go. And now we got it all nicely inside of here. So let's start building the interface. Now we need to add a div block in here, and we want to kind of like structure the bubbles, like, WhatsApp or something. So let's go in here. Let's, in this div, add another div. That will be our average, user message. So inside of here, let's make this width 80% so it doesn't cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to give it a side padding of 1 rem and a top and bottom padding of 1 rem. There you go. And I'm going to make this background here. Let's make this one actually white, completely white. And I'm going to give it a border of 0.5 rem. There you go. And then I'm going to give it a border color of, let's do gray 200. There you go. And now we got that all set up. So we're starting to create the interface for the chat message, right? And we may actually even make this 90%. Wonderful. Perfect. So we got this message, and it needs to be aligned on this side. This is perfect, right? Because the blue ones will be my messages. So we got this here, and now we need to kind of like assume how can we switch this UI to be, kind of like in a different state when I send the message. So for that, we will need to use classes and all that. So But actually, before we do that, let's take a look at how OpenAI's documentation wants us to set this up. So let's take a look at OpenAI API, and I'm going to do GPT. And I'm taking a look at their API platform, and I will take a look at GPT 4.1, right? And I can take a look at some of their documentation here. Let's go to API reference actually. And let's take a look here at chat completions. And let's take this example. You see how it gives us a list of messages? You don't need to know what an array is or JSON. The only thing you need to know is it gives us this key messages, and after the colon there is this value. We want to copy that because this is great testing data for us. We will now just, for the sake of convenience, create this, oh no, my bad. We will put this in the initial value of the variable, just like this. There you go. And now I'm going to give this variable a name. Let's call this messages. There you go. So now we have this developer and the user. There is another one called assistant. So let's actually go on the initial value and let's just paste this in here. And now we can remove the strings because they're just not needed. And we now have in here, you see, we have the developer role, that's the system prompt. And then we have the user, and we will have something that is called assistant. So let's add another one here, user hello. And let's call this one assistant, because assistant is kind of like when the AI responds. Howdy. Howdy. There you go. So now we already have this variable, and now we can render this list. So I'm taking this item here and I'm going to repeat based on this messages list. Now, as you can see, I'm getting the messages in here. We will actually filter out the system prompt because we don't want the user to see that. So I'm adding a filter on this to make sure that the role does not equal, not equal developer. So now we're only getting the user message and the assistant messages. Beautiful. Now in here we want to add a text area so we can show the message. Let's go on FX and let's go to the repeat item, which will allow us to get the item data, like a CMS item, for example, for every rendered list item from that data structure. So we'll take the content and that will give us the message. There you go. Wonderful. So now here's what we're doing. We got this howdy, hello, howdy, beautiful, right? And we got this right inside of here. So now we need to adjust the UI based on if it is a user message or not. So the default will be on the right side actually. So let's go on this element and align it on the right side. But if it is the assistant, it should be on the other side. Now, how do we conditionally change the interface? We can do this with a class. Let's create a class here called assistant. Assistant, right? Assistant. And this class can have a new style. So I create a new style for the assistant class, and I'm going to just align it on the side. And now I just make it conditional. I will take a look at this class. I will click on FX to make the class conditional. If item role equals assistant, then it will have the assistant class. Role user, there you go. And now as you can see, the content shifts. This is the user message. This is the assistant message, right? Just to make it look nicer, we're just going actually in here and we're giving it a gap of 0.5 rem or something. There you go. And now you see how we have this chat interface here built with the messages. Now we may want my message, if it's the assistant message, to be in a different, if it's the user message, in a different color. I can go on this item, create a class called user, and then I go on the style, create a style for user. In here, I will change the background color to blue 600. I will go to the border. I will change the border color to blue 400, for example. And I will change the text color to white. Now, once I have this, I go on this element and I will set the user class if the item role equals user. And now I got this interface here. Take a look at that, how simple that is. I sent my message and I'm going to get it back. Beautiful. Now, what we can do, if you want, we can also add, more advanced interface in here. So I can add a paragraph down here, for example, with the name. For example, in here, I can take the item role and I can make this capitalize, for example. Or I can give custom names, right? I can, for example, go on item here and I can make an if statement. I can do if item role equals user, then I want to say you, and else I want to do AI bot, right? So we have a label for who's talking, and if you want to style that, you can do that as well. For example, we can make the font a little bit smaller, like size 13 pixels. I can make the weight 400, and we can maybe give it some padding down here. So I can give it a 0.15 rem to give it a little bit of gap. And as you can see, I'm building that interface now visually using visual development tools. And now we got that general thing going. Now we need to build a form inside of here so the user can send messages and receive them back. And we also want to probably have a typing indicator for the AI, but that is something we'll add outside of the list. So we now have this list in here. Under here, I now want to add a div block for the typing indicator. So let's just make this width 5 rem, height 2 rem, and we're going to make it have a white background because it will be the AI bot. And then we'll do this 0.75 rem, and this will be the typing indicator, right? And then I'm going to go on effects. No, my bad. I'm going to go on border color, and I'm going to make it gray 200. There you go, just like that. Perfect. So now we got this nicely in here. Now I just need to have a nice animation. So let's go to CSS loaders. Let's go to the first page, cssloaders.github.io. I'll take the one that looks like a messaging indicator. Let's take a look, this one. Let's copy the HTML. We will paste it right inside of here. We'll ignore this. And now in the span, we're going to add a style tag. And then in this text, I'm going to write my custom CSS. I'm going to copy the CSS. I'm going to paste it inside of here. And now we should have this loading indicator, but we need to change the color. So let's let's adjust this. Let's see, box shadow, background color. What happens if we do black? Okay, nothing much. I do think this is a little bit more complex one. So we want to, we'll adjust this. Okay, so let's do this one black. Let's make this one black. Okay, let's make this one typing color gray. Oh yeah, you see it starts with something. Let's also make this one gray. Okay. And then let's make this one black. And let's make this one gray. Okay, and let's make this one also gray. And let's make this one black. So I'm turning the white, FFF is white, to black. And I'm turning the FFF2, which is kind of like a more like grayish, into full gray. Okay, now I just need to adjust the sizing a little bit because you see it goes over the board. So let's first go here, center the things. Okay, now we need to make it a little bit smaller. So I go to the CSS, 16, let's make this maybe, okay. Let's make this one 13 by 13. Let's do box shadow of 13 and minus 13. I can live with that. Okay. And then in this here, we'll do 13. And then we'll make this minus 13. Okay. And let's make this one also 13. And let's make this one minus 13. It's doing something. And let's make also this one 13. And let's make this one minus 13. It should balance it out. Okay, this is great. And maybe we'll make this 15. Yeah. Let's make this one, let's do 20. Or, no, let's do 16. Okay, so let's make this one 16. This one minus 16. So it looks nice. We'll make this one minus 16. This one 16. This one 16. This one minus 16. And then we'll make this one 16. And this one minus 16. I can live with that. That looks beautiful. And we see the AI is typing, right? So that is pretty neat. Maybe we can make this 10 pixels, make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, that looks great. Yeah, we got black. Oh, we still have the FFF. Let's make this black. Okay, let's make sure there's no, this also needs to be black. Okay, and then I want to make this one gray. Okay, and now we're done. Now we got this typing thing. That took a little bit, but now we can show it if the AI is loading. And now the only thing, last thing that we need to do is go inside of here, add a form, so the user can ask a question. We'll make that form with 100%, and we'll make this side padding 1 rem, top and bottom padding 1 rem. Yeah, that looks good. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make this background white, and I'm going to add a border of 0.75 rem, and I'm going to add a border color of gray to 100. Look at that. Beautiful. Now I'm going to add a text area here, which is a preferred way to do those things. We'll make this have a width of 100%, right? And we'll give the height of, let's do 10 rem. Oh, that's too much. 6 rem. Yeah, that's plenty. Okay, and actually now I want to remove the padding on the sides and padding on the top, right? And I will take this text area and I will remove its radius. Inherit. Let's do inherit. Remove the color, make it transparent. Let's go inside of here, remove, make this black or gray, make it a little bit darker. Okay. We got the font. We'll give it 1 rem side padding in the text area. There you go. So now when I click in here, you see I can type, and then you can ask a question. So in here, I'm going to change on the placeholder, ask your question. Ask your question. There you go. So now we got ask your question, and they can ask their question. Beautiful. Now they can resize it. I don't want them to resize it, so I'm just going to add a CSS property for resize. None. There you go. And now I got this beautifully right inside of here with the chatbot. And I probably want to give it some fixed height actually. So let's give it a height of 35 rem. 45 rem. Oh, that's a max height. I need a fixed height. 35 rem. Yeah, probably height 100% actually. And max height 35 rem. And then this one we'll need to also have a height of 100%. Yeah, and then there you go. So we got this element right inside of here, and then it's important that this is on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this list and this typing indicator, wrap it in a div block, which is a container element, put the typing indicator in here, so they're split in 1, make sure it's in the proper direction. Also give this now the 1 rem, wrong one. Let's give this one also the, I think it was 0.5 rem before. Yeah, so we have the typing indicator. And now I can just double click in here. So it aligns one on top, one on bottom. And then I'm going to go here, just make it width 100%. And the layout is stunning. Look at that. Beautiful. So now we got this text area. Now the only thing we need to do is actually connect it with the AI and have it submit the form and do all that requests. So, you know, here's how we're going to set that up. We will use a tool called Xano. I will go on the API section in Xano, create a new API group, call that Chatbot, right? I will save that. I will create a new API endpoint. I will do a custom endpoint. It will be a post request because we're calling an AI. Let's call that AI. Let's save this. Now I will need to add an input that will be type JSON. So we can just, it will be a proxy, it will be a middle in between our website and our open API account. So we're not exposing our API key publicly. And actually we don't need to have that JSON parameter directly, because we can just fetch everything we throw at it, like a webhook, like Zapier similar. Just Xano is way more for production and complex applications than Zapier will ever be. But there you go. So in here, I'm just actually doing a webhook, get all raw input, and then I will call this data. This will fetch all the data that we're sending to the API. So we can build a fully capable proxy. So let's go to the documentation. Let's copy this example that they give us, right? And now we're going to go to Xano and we're going to add an external API request. I'm importing the curl. That's the thing that I just copied from OpenAI's API spec. Let's go back to Xano. Let's import the curl. And now you see we got this all in here. What we don't want actually is we don't want this data to be here. So I'm removing all filters because I want them to be passed dynamically. So, you know, users can adjust this. So I will go to params and I will just send the data to it, right? So we have this, our API is like a middleware. It's between the web app and the OpenAI account. So we control this. So let's click on this expression here. Let's change the type. Let's remove this API key and we'll just put our API key after we have generated a new one. So we go to platform.openai.com/API keys. We'll create a new API key for Xano. We'll generate that key. We'll copy this key. We'll go to Xano, put the key in here. Now it's not exposing it on the front end. It's fully secure inside of here. You may want to set it up as an environment variables if you have team members logging into your account, but if you're the only one in your Xano account, don't worry about it unless you're making videos like I am right now exposing it. It's secure. It's just if you share your screen and have it open, it's not that secure. So this is where environment variables kind of like if you do have some screen sharing situations can help you. Now, important timeout, we want to have it 27 seconds because there are 30-second timeouts for AI. So this is something to keep in mind, right? Let's save this. And now we want this to return API 1. And let's save that. So now if I run this, it should completely work. So let's go to OpenAI. Let's copy this data that we can send to the API. And we will need to set that up in Nordcraft. But you see this D, that's the data. We'll copy this whole object. And now we can just paste it in this input of the API and we'll run it. And now we're taking this whole thing, sending it to OpenAI. And as you can see, we're getting lightning fast our response back. There you go. And we will, hello, how can I assist you today? Now, one thing to keep in mind is when you now return this, you're putting your API key in here. So you want to return response result. So for that, I go to the response, I do dot response dot result. Now when I run this again, I'm only getting the result. Look at that. Beautiful. And we're getting that back. We're getting the message back. So now we want to publish this and we got it all ready. So now I can copy the endpoint URL. I can go to Nordcraft. I can go to APIs. I can paste my URL inside of here. I can continue. I will call this ChatGPT. It will be a post request because I'm calling an AI. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to advanced and I'm turning off proxy requests so we can embed this on our website. And I will turn off server-side fetching because it's not needed. Then we'll go to the body, and now in this body what we're doing is we will need to take this data that OpenAI wants to receive, this one here, we're copying it and we're pasting it. We're just clicking on here and do Command V. Okay, and now just to clean it up, we'll be removing all the strings, right? So keep in mind, this messages here, what we have is exactly what we already have in our variable here, right? This is what is also rendered. So we go to this API and we will make this dynamic. So we go to the body and this messages here will come from the variable, right? So it's dynamic. And as you can see, now I'm sending this data to OpenAI. You can test it by running it here and you will see that you're getting the data back. Just like that. So now here's how we're going to set this up. First of all, let's go to this form. And let's go to this text area. We need to figure out what the user is inputting. For that, I'm going to create a variable called current message. And that will start out as an empty value. So we'll just do this completely empty, clear this whole field. And I'm going to this text area, I'm going to attributes, and I'm going to bind it with the current message attribute. Now when I type inside of here, hello AI, I will take a look at the current message variable and it will have it in here. And now we can add this to this payload so the AI actually has the history and the memory and we can add to it. So what we want to do is, here's how this is going to work. So when I go to this text area here, right? And in this form here, we have a submit event. How do we submit a form? Let me tell you. As you can see, if I click enter, we don't submit it. So we need to go to this form and add a button in here. And that button will need to allow us to send the message. So that can be an icon. I like it being an icon. I want to make it look like intercom. So let's go to Relume icons. Let's copy a nice icon. Let's do like send. And oh, that's a cool one, right? I want to have like a, yeah, that one. I like that one. Let's copy it, 24 pixels. Let's go back in here and we'll put this in here. We'll import, we'll remove the button, right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to make it 0.5 rem by 0.5 rem. I'm going to center the content. I'm going to remove hover. I'm going to make this 100% round. I'm going to make sure that this blue 600 is fine actually. And now I'm just going to make sure that this is actually absolute. So we nicely have it set up. So let's go inside of here and let's go to the text. Oh no, because let's give the text area like a 3 rem padding. So we have enough padding in it. And I go on this button. I will go on layout, make it absolute, and do an inset of bottom 1 rem, and then right 1 rem. Or let's do 0.5 by 0.5. So it's in this corner. How beautiful is that? And then actually, how about we'll make this 1 rem 0.5 rem. Yeah, I think that looks very nice. And then users can ask their question. So to make sure it actually submits the form, we add an attribute type, submit. Let's click on here, and you will see the page will reload. That shows that we're actually successfully submitting the form. So now when I go to the form, I will go on form submit event. We need to add prevent default, and after prevent default, we're calling the ChatGPT API. Right? There you go. So now we're calling the API, but how are we getting the latest message into the messages variable so we can go into the body and send it, right? Because when I add a new message, I have my message in here. I have the developer message, the system prompt. I have hello, I have howdy, but I don't have the current message, which is how are you feeling today? Right? That's not in there. So how do I get it in there when I click on button? Here's how you do that. If I submit it, we go to this form and we need to take a look at the structure. this messages has a role and content. If it's a user message, it's role user, content, the content from the variable. So we need to build a little workflow here. So when I go to the form, before I call ChatGPT, I will go to the messages variable. I will now go into the formula when I'm setting the messages variable. I will get the current messages and I will append. What does append mean? It means adding a new item to the end of a variable list. So I have a list of messages, I'm adding a new item to the end. I'm adding append, and now I look at the structure. The structure is role user. I can actually copy this and just paste it in here. I first need to add some random thing and then paste to add it. I correct. It's just how you have to do that. But now we have role user, we'll keep that hard-coded, and the content will come from the current message variable. So you see we're adding the new message in here, so AI will respond to the latest message, but still have the content of the previous messages before, so your AI is actually smart. And there you go. Now after this, we are going to clear the current message, so it's wiped out, and then we're calling ChatGPT. And then here's the thing. On success of calling ChatGPT, we will need to push the new message back into the variable. But for that, we need to call it first. So we see we got it working here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this div and I'm going to show and hide it, right? I'm going to show and hide it based on if ChatGPT is loading. Okay, so let's send this. You see, how are you feeling today? And it was loading, and now we should have a message. So let's take a look in here, and you see we got this message back. So here's what we're going to do. We are now going to this workflow here on the submit event, and then on success of ChatGPT, we're going to messages, we're taking the current messages, we're adding an append again, and we're now adding, we need to take one of those items, like the assistant one. Let's just copy that, add any random thing, click on it and paste, remove the strings because they're just taking space that we don't need to waste. And now I go to the API data, I go to the data, I go to choices, I take the first one, I take message, and I take content. And now I'm getting this into the list added, right? Beautiful. So now, if I put a message, let's just reload this whole thing. So we start out with a fresh chat. Let's take a little bit. Perfect. Now I can say, hello, my friend. I can send it. And ooh, it didn't work. Or was there an error? Let's take a look at the API. Failed to fetch. Ooh, let's run this again. This one worked. Okay. Interesting. Let's try clicking on it again. Hey. Okay, now it works. Take a look at that. So you see we got this AI chat beautifully working. So now what we do is we go to the messages and we will only keep the developer message, which is our system prompt. And now, because it may be hard to adjust this for you, we can just copy this here and we can create a structure in here. So we can visually do this in Nordcraft. So let's have our system prompt. This is where you can adjust a custom system prompt, right? So you can type in any specific system prompt, behave like this, right? And then we're going to actually add a new one called assistant that will say, how can I help you today? And that will be the first message, AI bot, right? How can I help you today? And then we can say, I'm great. And I can send that. And then it will respond. And this is how we build an AI chatbot. So now how do we embed this on our website, right? So we want to turn this into a web component, right? And that is actually quite simple. It just sounds scary. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go, and this is going to be very creative how we're doing it. We want to kind of like create an intercom like pop-up to allow for this. So let's go on, let's see how we do this. Let's take this and let's make it absolute. We're going to make this absolute or fixed. We'll figure out later what we do with it. Okay, and then this one will be width 2 rem by 2 rem. Okay, this will be 2 rem by 2 rem. And it will be background blue 600, and it will be round, so borders 100%. And then we want it to be on the top, so I'm going to add z-index in here. So let's go with, what did they put? Z-index. I'm going to do z-index 99. Okay? And we may need to wrap it in something, but I think that's fine. Let's just copy this. Let's actually cut this. Make sure to cut it, not delete it, right? We'll add a new div block here. Then we'll add a button in here. Okay, and then in here, we're going to paste this one. Okay, so now the button, I want the button to be on top of everything. Okay, so let's make the button the last item so it's on top. Okay, so this button will need to be in the corner of the screen. So this button is going to be, we'll go in here. We'll do, okay, we'll make it fixed. Position fixed. Let's do inset bottom 0. Okay, it does a great job. So we'll do bottom 1 rem and right 1 rem, right? So we have this in here. And then we'll just have it stay with the name button. But now in here, this AI widget will need to be above the button essentially. So what we actually want to do, now that I think about it, is we probably want to remove the spacing from the button. Making those kind of like pop-up layers is always a little bit tricky, but let's, you'll get it as you build it. So let's wrap it in a div block here. Okay, this div block will be absolute or fixed. It will have bottom 1 rem and right 1 rem. Okay, and then the button in here will need to just stay as relative, right? So we got the button. Now I can take this widget and paste it in this div and make sure it's over the button. Again, there's definitely some refinement that needs to be done. This element will need to be relative. So we'll make this align to the side so the button stays here, and we'll give this a 1 rem. Okay, so now we're kind of, you see what's going on here? We're kind of like building this as we go. So I can call this chat with AI. Okay, I can make it nice. I can make it side padding 0.75 rem, top and bottom 0.5 rem, or let's make it actually 1 rem. Let's give it a border radius of 100% or 100 pixels. Yeah, that looks nicer. And I don't like hover, so let's remove the hover. Okay, now we got chat with AI. So here's what we're going to do. Very simple. We got this chat with AI button. When people click on it, right, it will, then show this. So in here, we have this widget here, which is, which should be absolute. So let's make this, or fixed. Let's make it just fixed. So it kind of like contains everything, but it doesn't affect the other things on the site. And as you can see, it's also fully responsive. Just one thing we may want to do, we want to balance it out. So we can go in here and we just add a left side padding of 1 rem. So you see we make it responsive with the chat. So no matter how it is on the side, how we embed it, it will look very nice. There you go. And this is how we get that AI chat going. Perfect. So now we need to manage state to show and hide this. So let's create a variable, show chat, and default value will just be empty, right? There you go, show chat. Now we need this actually to have some fixed height, so height 100% is probably not serving us well. So let's just adjust the height. Let's just remove the max height and adjust the height to be 80 view height or 50 view height. And then we probably want to make it responsive based on the width of the device. But we'll take a look at that. Or let's see, what can we do with this? Hide 100% doesn't help us. Let's clear that. What if we do hide 35 rem, 25 rem, 25 rem? Yeah, I think that's good, right? And then we just need to add scroll functionality and a little bit more to this, but I think we're doing great so far. And it is responsive, so that's nice. Yeah, and with max width, maybe we'll make it 30. Okay, perfect. Very nice. Okay. So let's see, let's ask a question. Hey. Okay, now what I don't like about this is you see how it automatically has this max width of 30, so it doesn't fully stretch out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to clear the max width on this. We're going to force it to be 100%, and then this one will have a width of 100%, and then this will have a max width of 35 rem, or 25 rem, 20 rem, 22 rem. Okay, and then it will be, yeah, it will be nicer. And then we just need to worry about the scroll thing, right? So when I go in here, that this one scrolls. So the way we do this is by making sure that this is flex 1, right? And this one in here scrolls. So in here, I'm going to the layout, and the layout will be overflow Y scroll, right? So you see it scrolls. I can scroll with the messages in here. Now we probably want to get rid of this ugly scroll bar. So I'm going advanced, scroll bar width, none. There you go. Now I can scroll without this. Now it's a little bit ugly because we have this chat message here and it kind of like gets cut off. So what we can do is we can go on the parent, remove this width, make this go a little bit to the side. So we'll make 0.25 rem side padding, so it's a little bit less. Maybe we'll also want to add a 0.25 rem top padding to balance it out. And then we're just adding extra down padding on the scroll list, like 2 rem. So then when you scroll down, you see you get that extra space a little bit, and it almost looks like it's a little bit nicer setup. We may want to actually give it a little bit more side padding. So let's make it like 4.5 or something, like 4.5, okay. And we can tune it later on as well. But I think that looks nice, look at that. And then how about we'll make this 1 rem. Yeah, I think it looks very nice, look at that. Yeah, and you got your chat messages here, and it is fully responsive. Look at that, perfect. So now we need to manage the state. So we have this show chat variable, and when I click on this button, here's what it's going to do. It will take show chat, it will take the current value, and it will reverse it. We'll do a not to reverse it. Now it needs to have a value, so default will be false. Okay, so now when I click on here, I'm adjusting this variable. Now I just need to hide the chat. So I will go in here on this chat element, and I will make a show hide based on if show chat is true. So now when I click on here, you see how it adds and shows it. Isn't that cool? Perfect. Now we want to animate it. So how do we do that? We can go to styling, we can go on style. We'll take, oh, they removed it. No, actually it's there. It's starting style. Starting style will start with an effect of opacity 0, for example, and we'll do a transform to move it like down 100%. Okay, and then when we go to default, we're adding a transition of all properties, 300 milliseconds. So now I can hide it. Oh my god. Okay, let's try reloading the page. I think it's a representational issue. Yeah, look at that. And now you have a nice, you see how it nicely animates up with the AI chat? Isn't that cool? And then it just hides when you click on it. Pretty cool. This is how you animate that as well. Now I just want to change the text conditionally from chat with AI to close chat. So let's make an if statement in here. If chat show chat true, then close chat. And else I will do OpenAI chat. Okay, so now you see it does close chat, OpenAI chat. So it adjusts that. Beautiful. So now it completely works, and we can embed this on a website. So I will, export this as a web component, copy this, and now I can, let's just go to an empty HTML document, which can be Wix, Webflow, any builder, framer, WordPress. You can embed this on your site, and now you have this. Let's preview the full site. You'll see we'll have this OpenAI chat. It'll open the AI chat. How are you? Right? I can send the message. It will type, and I will get the message back from the AI chat. And this is how you build an AI chatbot that you can embed. And if you want to have your landing page built in Nordcraft, you can simply go to the page in here, take your component, put it in here, and you are good to go. Look at that. I got it right here, and it works beautiful. There you go. And that's how simple it is to build an AI chatbot. And this is how you learn to build those things yourself. So you don't have to pay thousands of dollars for developers to build those things for you. Of course, I'm not satisfied with the UI. I can do way better, but it's more about the functionality and the concept. And then, you can spend another hour making it look perfect. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. And I hope you learned lots from it. And if you want to learn more about how to build those kinds of applications using no-code tools, and maybe even with a little bit of custom code, take a look at nocodeproco.com. That is my coaching program, my community, where we help you build those kinds of applications. We'll support you, we'll guide you through the process, and you will get access personally to me to make sure that you're actually shipping your product and you're getting it out there. And that if you have a roadblock, it will be solved the day it occurs. So thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see you inside of my community, and make sure to like, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.